name is 1 plus 1 equals to 3, and you will soon find out why. All right.
Okay, so welcome people for this space today. We are going to be your facilitators. I'm Caroline. So in this case, I'm the TMNOD VP for Singapore. And a few fun facts about me is that I love anime and manga. Another thing as well is that I'm the type of search first. So hey Google, I really love searching. And the last one is that I plan to learn 4 more languages at least. So I'm preparing myself mentally for that and how can I achieve this goal. But yes, it's going to happen. Hopefully after MC term, I can start it. So yay. And yeah.
All right. Hi,
Sagar?
guys. I'm Sagar Kalra. I'm the MCVP Brand and Marketing for ISEC in Singapore. 3 things about me is that I have 5 cats. I love South Indian food. And just thinking about pineapple and pizza just freaks me out. So I don't know how people can actually eat it. All right. But before we actually get into the session, I just wanted you to quickly look through the participant list and just see whether your entire MC is present in the space or not. And if you can rename yourself in the following format as well, that would be great, because later we'll have breakout rooms where we'll be putting you according to your entities as well. So if you can put your entity first and then the name. I've put it in the chat. Oh, Prayog. Oh, I will still find that acceptable. Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll wait for like 10 seconds more. Okay, so I'm going to assume now that you've messaged your entities and they would be they'll be attending the space as well. So moving on, what exactly is this session about? So throughout the session, we are going to understand what is synergy, what makes an effective synergy, and we'll be mapping out the synergies within the MC team. So before we begin, like, what does synergy even mean? Can anyone just unmute and share? All right, so I'm just going to randomly pick one person then. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think synergy is more on lines of like collaboration, like working together for something, like when you synergize to work together for something. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Thank you so much, Jasleen, for sharing. So I'll just elaborate slightly further. So synergy is a collaboration of two or more other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. What it basically means that if 2 people come together, they are able to produce a much greater output than if one individual is working alone. So one of the examples in the next slide is from a movie that I'm pretty sure most of you all have seen. And here it is. Let me just play it. So, would anyone like to share like what exactly happened in this particular video? Like again, anyone could just unmute and share.
Okay, I can go. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, I think like what you had mentioned before, all of us is always stronger than one of us. The productivity is higher if collaboration is better, the result is better, etc.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Joshi. So yeah, just building on what he said is we understood that they were in a bad situation where they were going to be caught by fishermen as well. And what they did is that they decided to work towards one goal. And if you see at the start of the video, you can see that the father placed his trust in Nemo in order to make it work. In order for synergy to take place, trust is, along with having like a common goal to work towards, trust is also a very important factor to make things actually happen. In the same way, as an MC team, all of us are part of one MC. Although we have our own individual functions, but all of our individual functions are a subset of the entire MC. You are the MCVP BD for ISEC in your entity. You're the MCVP marketing for ISEC in your entity. In the same way, whatever plans that you undertake, all of them are undertaken to reach the overall goal of the MC. It is not individually that you're doing something that will only affect your function. Since all of us work together towards one goal, we need to realize that the goal of the MC is more important than the goal of our function. Because at the end of our term, we want to leave our entity better than we found it. And the way that we can do that is firstly, if our functions are also better, and secondly, that we are helping other functions as well. Like for example, if you have an event, then BD and marketing need to be in more synergy, need to synergize more in order to make that event successful. BD would be the person who'd bringing in the partners, while marketing would be the person who'd be bringing in attendees. So one of the most important things in understanding or taking or having like an effective synergy is to clearly understand what your job role is and what work are you supposed to do in a particular project and what work is the other person supposed to do. So we want to help you find that out as well. So one of the ways that we can do that is something called as the RACI Matrix. So a RACI Matrix is a responsibility assignment chart that maps out every task, milestone, or key decision that's involved in completing a project. So you can find out more information in the video and the article that we have here, but I'll quickly breeze through it in the next slide. All right. So R stands for responsible. By responsible, what I mean is a person that needs to perform an activity or a task. It can either be delegated, provided that you have permission from the person who is accountable for the entire project. Next is accountable. It is the individual that is the decision maker and it cannot be delegated. And there can only be one person who's accountable for a single project. The last one is consulted, that the individual needs to be consulted during the process before the decision is made. Then we have someone who is informed, an individual that needs to be informed once the decision has been made. So what exactly are we going to have now is we're going to have an activity which is for around 20 minutes. So what you would need to do is go to this particular sheet. You'll need to make a copy of the entire sheet. And in the first 9 minutes of the activity, what would happen is that we'd like you to mention as many tasks as you think would be happening like during your term. Then once the 9 minutes are over, we'll inform you to shift to the next part, which is to spend 6 minutes on assigning each of these tasks RACI. And along with that, what KPIs do you expect? Like if you expect, like for example, if BD has an event to run, like one of the KPIs that she can mention for marketing is number of attendees. So if you're marking someone as a responsible, informed consultant, just mention a KPI for them on the side. So you can understand what exactly is this function's contribution to this particular task. Then after these 6 minutes are over, we'll broadcast another message which says you have 5 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. And what will happen in these 5 minutes is that you'll be going through the sheets of the other functions. And what you'd be doing there is just resolving whatever queries that you have. In case you feel that they've marked you as consulted for something, but you'd rather just be informed, then you can just ask them that, hey, I'd rather be informed about this than consulted. You can just go ahead without like letting me know about it. Okay. So I'll quickly go through the sheet as well, so as to just show you how it looks.
Sagar, in us is not this one. It's the other one. I send in the chat.
Oh, okay.
We didn't change the link.
All
I'm
right.
updating now.
All right. Caroline, if you could explain the sheet.
Yeah, so the sheet, we actually put an example for you guys to understand, but overall you need to have clear what are the activities that each function has. And in each activity, you need to clarify who is the responsible, who is accountable, who is consulted, and who is informed. So in this case, the example is the one related with the MC team. But for each function, you guys will have specifically things from your own function that you need to clarify the responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So it's a way for you guys to start thinking. It doesn't mean that you need to have it 100% done, because when we did it with Singapore, we did it when we were in DMC planning. But you guys can start thinking about what can be the things. And then once you guys have the planning, it can be a space for you to better align, especially because a few things related to frequency will depend a lot in what you guys decide as a team. But overall here, with the example, you can more or less understand what are the things that can be done. And then each function, just think really about your activities and who actually needs to be in each one of these stages.
All right. So just a reminder as well, just to name yourself as entity, and then the name. So it's easier to assign you in breakout spaces as well. Is everyone clear with the activity, or do you all have any questions or anything that you all would like to ask?
Do we have to make copy of the sheets, the entire sheet?
Yeah, you'd need to make a copy of the entire sheet.
Okay.
So I guess you can agree just one from the MC team can make the copy. Yeah, just agree in your group who's gonna make the copy and send the link to the others.
All right. If we can place them in breakout spaces. So as I mentioned, you all will have 20 minutes. If you need any assistance, just call us. We'll also be going through the breakout spaces just to see how you're doing. So you can ask us then as well in case you have any questions.
So I will open the breakout room now.
Yes.
list.
For the activity, everything was
I
clear,
can-
smooth, and when you go to MC? Okay, good. We have someone.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. So for us, I think all of us were discussing about how, I mean, more than right, I think this space was really needed for us to discuss because we haven't got such time in a very long time to discuss how we need help from each other in the coming activities that are going to happen in June and July, especially. So we were discussing upon that, and we were side by side writing for our individual tabs first. And so we thought that later on we can write for the MC as a whole, like once we understand what we need on an individual level. But we couldn't write for the MC team because we didn't have time. So I think we'll carry this on after the today's spaces. So thank you so much.
No worries. Nice. Anyone else wants to share a little bit? How was the activity? Or what do you need to move forward for the MC planning? No one? Okay. So, well, for now, while I wait for my laptop to cooperate with me, Sagar, can you move for the next slides, please? Cool. So one of the things that we are going to be doing now is talk a little bit more actually what is stopping us to work together as an MC, because it's actually not something very uncommon to happen in the organization. And it's something that sometimes we really don't take the time to really understand what are the root causes and the problems. So for this, we actually have 4 things that we see that are one of the most common ones that can actually affect. The first one is we don't understand what is the difference between thinking as the product head and thinking as the executive board. So in this case, next slide. As you can see, we have here the situation that we have MC, VP as the function, but we have MC as the organizational side. So if you guys really pay attention in these specific details, you're going to actually understand that MCVP is just a small part of it. But it's something that, for example, we still don't focus 100% when we consider the MC side. So it's like, it's easier for us to focus in our own function than to actually focus in what we are doing as, a team together. So in this case, one of the first things that we have here is actually thinking as an owner. So for sure, one of the things that we need to clarify when we are thinking as an owner is that we need to take the initiative as well, because it's not only about us, it's actually about the results that we can do together. And in this case, wait, I can start sharing now from my side. Thank you, Sagar. So yeah, so it's not only thinking about, as you know, our own selves, but what we can do together and how we can support each other. So for example, one thing that I saw happening in the beginning of the MC term is that, for example, we had sometimes things being shared by Sagar that, was supporting other functions. And he was, just taking the initiative and sharing with us. So he was not thinking about, oh, I'm just going to share the things from marketing. No, he was actually going after things. And when he saw something that could help the others, he was sharing. So this is one thing about taking initiative. If you see something that can help others, go for it. Don't just go after your own function. And then, of course, don't wait the others to act. So in this case, there will be things that even if it's not your function, maybe because of the time, it's important to actually go after. So in this case, if you guys can go and do it, or at least, start moving people to go for it, go. Especially because sometimes people have the expectation that, oh, if it's for everyone, the MCP is going to push us to do that. But the thing is, it's not always the way of doing things, because not always the MCP will be the one pushing. Because if you guys saw the space in TLC that we have Esgi talking, she said that she had people in her own team that, for example, they were more organized, or they were the more, let's say, timekeeper ones. So they were the ones pushing the team for these things, not. And that's that we need to consider. In the team, each person may have a characteristic or something that will help the team to improve. So don't expect others to be the ones to take care of the things. If you're the one that has this, so go for it. Then, besides that, we have as well being accountable for the results of your actions. And in this case, it's like, if we actually agree to do something, let's try to do it the best way possible. Don't, do things just halfway, because what can happen in this case is that people need to trust you. And if they can't count on you to do something that you promised or something that you say that you would do, it's going to affect a lot the team. Because how can I trust someone if every single time they say they would do something or help me with something, they never did? So we need to avoid this kind of problems. That's why it's important, again, be accountable and take care of the results that you promise to each other. And in this case, again, it's about the entity. Because yes, we are a function, but we are working for one entity, be it Singapore, MOC, Myanmar. Like, we have all of us, working together for one specific goal, that is improving our country. So in this case, we are working as one, and we are not working for our function. And here are some suggestions of what can help you in this case is, for example, one, make a common talking spaces. So for example, if you have a space to update people about the function, nice. But maybe you can have a space that if there is one thing from your function, you can have everyone uniting to talk about this topic and see maybe how some issues can be solved. Or you can actually have topics related with the whole entity, and then in this case, everyone is part of the conversation. But make these spaces. Don't wait for people to make them. If you see it's important, go and do it. Then have clear the functional and MC weeks. Because what happened? If you just plan your functional weeks, you're going to, okay, I have clarity of my things, what I'm going to do, but how do you contribute for the whole picture? Try to have clear both of these sides and see how these things can connect with each other. Because maybe what you want to do in the function now may not be what the majority of the needs of the entity are going to happen. And if this is something that we need to adjust, we need to adjust as soon as possible. And lastly, clarify the direct and indirect synergies, because maybe some synergies, they will receive like direct feedback. So for example, oh, I helped you with this, and here is the result of my actions with you. But others, you are going to do something, and indirectly, you're going to be helping the other person, even if it's not something so clear. And that's why it's important for you to have very certain what are the things that you need to do or not. Second one here is, we don't know end goals, and we wish to save the world in 1 year. So this is another thing as well. And one of the things that brings this lack of direction, actually, it's because one, people actually rarely discuss about these things. So we think that, oh, I know what my function will do. I know what are some of the small things we want to do, and that's it. But people don't really sit and talk. And this is something that, yes, I know it takes time. And sometimes, having to wait maybe to do one of your functionals can be annoying because it's super important and urgent. But sometimes we need to sit and talk and have clear distance, especially if you want the functions to be aligned in what kind of message and actions they're going to do. Then we need to align this message to really be something that makes sense for everyone. Because there is no point in, for example, in TM, we tell people that, no, our focus is developing leadership. And then we have operations on the other side saying, no, you guys need numbers because we need money. And then, it's like, people are not going to understand what is the message that they should be following. Is it people, or is it money, or is it wherever else? So clarify how is going to be delivered the message in each one of these functions too. And lastly, we have many activities to execute, or my favorite phrase, firefighting. So there are so many shit going on around you, and you're just like, oh my God, so many things to fix. I don't know what to do. I already have, this crisis here. I can't take care of other crises. So people start, just feeling super lost, and they don't know what to do in this case. But the thing is, you're a team, and the moments that you guys have, so many firefighting things happening, again, you need to take the time to sit and think, because people, when they are anxious and they are stressed, they are not going to be thinking well, and they will start making mistakes and bad decisions. So sit, breathe, and think together as a team to ensure that you know what you need to do and what will be considered a priority or not. And of course, again, prioritize. And be sure that when you guys are working together, you're really consistent, because it's easy to start doing something and then you stop doing it. And the idea here is you have only one term, so many things you can't do. It's a fact. And sometimes you discover that maybe what you plan to do is not a priority. And it's not that the idea is not good, but considering the situation, there are other things that are more important. So in this case, understands what are the things that are possible in this term. And if it's not possible, well, you have a successor that is going to come once you finish your term. So be sure that they will have an easier life than yours, and they will have more clarity too. And in this case, some, again, suggestions as well of what can be done is try to have actually one or two focuses as MCVP. For example, for my side, I put that for TM, I was going to have develop process as my focus. And for OD, I was going to have my focus as network. So for each function, actually, I put one main focus. And then as well, try to have something related with the MC team. So for example, we had something related with data management. And from my side, already for TM and OD, I knew that I wanted to focus a bit more as well in how can we start improving data. So in the end of the day, I already had something that was connected as well with both of mine. So I had the MC connection with my functions. And the last one here is set clear spaces to constantly follow up on them and learn, of course, to delegate the tasks. So for example, from my side, again, when I had some strategies, I knew that I was not going to be the one to deliver them. So I had my ESTs and I tried to have some of them, like some of the things that I could do together with the other MCs, I tried to set expectations in how it could be done. But this was the best way to try to organize because you can't do everything. This is a fact. So try to see who can actually do what and make sure that you follow up on this. Here is one example of how I started organizing the synergies. So here I said that, okay, we want always like to be on Wednesdays, this specific time, and I put to repeat till the end of the term. And here, for example, I have as well general checkup. So, okay, these are some of the things that I know that I may need to talk with Sagar, but as well, like if anything else comes up, we know that we can consider these topics first. So in the end, I try to already have everything set here. And as well, I try to have like links or any other kinds of trackers that may be relevant. The other one here that can help you a lot is actually having calendars. For example, when I set my synergies, I set in my personal calendar. But when there are things for MC, we have the MC calendar. So everyone is aware of what needs to be done inside their own calendars. And here is another one that I created with the connection for the EBs. So anything that we may need to have that they need to be aware of as well, they have it here. So each calendar has a purpose. And this is a way to organize as well who should be seeing the things or not. And the last one that can help the fact that at least on Google Calendar, you can have 2 time zones. So in this case, since I'm working remotely, I can have the timeline here of Brazil and I can have the timeline of Singapore. So it's a way for me as well to never feel so lost. Actually, for a good while, I was mostly doing it by head because anyways, 11 hours for me, it's still okay-ish to see the difference. But this one here is amazing, especially when you don't have like so much time, to think about it, or if you just, prefer to be as practical as possible. So that's something good that you do. And then if you see here, it's as well important to have, everything that you need in Google Calendar. So if you see here, I have like all of the things organized to ensure that people will understand what is expected from them inside calendar as well. So for example, I have reminders that if you see, I have reminders for 1 day, 3, 5, 1 week. So I have as much reminders as possible. Then I make the events, as you can see, very detailed because I want people to not come to me complaining that they don't know what this is about. So I'm like, okay, you want details? Here are your details. Then, of course, align the frequent spaces to repeat. So for example, as you saw with Sagar, it was weekly, so I make it weekly. Then set a specific day as well for activities. So from my side, my idea was, okay, always I want on Wednesdays to have my synergies. But I saw later that it was not possible because not everyone could. So I tried to at least have very clear what are the days that I have the specific synergies. So it's easier for me to follow up and be ready for these spaces. And of course, use the features of Google Drive because as you can see here, like you can connect actually the files. So again, if people need to be aware of some file or sheet or so on to follow, they just, can have it like really easily accessible here. And of course, use colors to set the relevance. Like you can use the colors per calendar. You can use colors to set priorities. You can use colors as well to set different kinds of activities. And if, for example, you have like too many things to mark, you can, let's say, have one color for the calendar, and you have here the tags, for example, important and so on, that you can use. So these are some things that can for sure help you in organizing your synergies as well. And another thing that can help you a lot is you have your cell phone, some of you. And in this case, you can always have the widget here with the calendar showing up. So here, this one, it connects all my calendar in one place. So I can always see the things that I have here related with my personal, Isaac personal-wise, Isaac team-wise, like every freaking thing I have here showing in my calendar. So you guys can use it to organize yourself. So you're not going to feel so lost most of the times. As you can see, I love using colors. So this is part as well of the process. But yeah. Now, for the third one as well is we are only motivated by personal goals. So, okay, after we pass all of this, we come to actually one of the most sensible parts of the synergies, which are actually people working together. So in this case, it's not that it's bad for you to have your personal goals, but the thing is you need to find a balance because, again, your goals matter, your function matter, but matters as well the situation of the entity. Only one function doing well while all the others are on fire, it's not how your entity is going to grow. It's just a way for you to say that, yes, I'm doing a good job, but this is just, sorry the expression, but this is just you stroking your own ego. And the point here is not you stroking your ego, is the entity growing together and being stronger together. So it's nice, for the ego, for you to feel that, yes, I'm achieving all these things, but try to focus a little bit as well in how, all the functions and the team can be in balance. So everyone will feel, in a positive mindset, and everyone will feel that, okay, we are in this together. And at the same time, I'm being able to deliver my things. And in this case, one suggestion here is finding the sweet spot. So personal purpose, the role, and the organizational one. If you're able to find the sweet spot of these three, which is hard, I admit, but if you're able to find it, for sure it's going to help you a lot. And in this case, for you to be able to do it, you need to understand your team and define the team goals. So one of the things that can help you in thinking in this case is, okay, why did we apply for this role and this team? So understand again, what was your purpose as a function and your purpose as a team? And then define very clearly the goals. So the thing I commented about the weeks, have the clear weeks for the function and for the team and see how they connect together. And guarantee that you understand what defines a successful team for you. If you're able to do that, it's going to help you a lot more because you guys will actually have way more clarity. And considering that the majority of you still didn't have anything, so I think it's going to help you a lot. And the very, very, very last one, empathizing in quick results. So in this case is, yes, you did your well, but your function is just part of it. So some of the tips that I can give you here, is actually, have a way to follow up the goals of the function, but as well, have a way to progress as a team. So see how you guys do really good as, not only function, but team-wise. And guarantee that you actually recognize the team results. So not only recognizing the function, but in the team, you guys can actually recognize the best synergies or how the team did in the day. So this one is very straight to the point, focusing the team recognition as well. But here, what you can do, so I have just some small tips here. So overall things that you guys can happen to be doing during this time. But the overall idea of this call to actions is use the time you have for planning to plan and clarify all the things you need to do. And use the MC planning the best way possible to organize all the things that you guys need. And as, let's say, a last message, because honestly, I don't need to tell you all of these, you can see it later. But as a last message, synergies are not easy. We need them to move forward as one team and one entity, as you could see. But more than that, I want you to keep in mind one last thing, which is we can't ask EBs to work well together if we don't set the example. I know we never talked about EBs here, but this is actually a good one. Because if you want your EBs to be able to do it, you need to set the example as well as MC. So let's not be hypocrites and give them a good example so they can know how to do it as well. And that was it from my side. If you guys have any questions, we are always available here if you have any kind of questions, so be sure to follow them. And that's all. Don't forget the feedback, and we are going to have the next sessions coming up. The majority of the functions, you have the GCP sharing, and TM people, you have the platform onboarding. Cool?
Yes. Thank you so much, Caroline and Sagar. Thank you so much for the session. I enjoyed. I wish my RO team was here so we can practice too, but it's